I'm really pleased to be joined by Bev Jones on the show today. So a massive welcome to you, Bev.
Thank
and
you.
Thank you for joining me.
That's all right. Look forward to chatting.
Good. Bev is an author, a speaker, and the founder of a business called Awaken. So Bev, for those people who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about you, what you do, and where your story started?
Well, the story started really way back. For 30 years, I worked in the corporate industries, if you like. I won't tell you about my whole story because that involves 21 house moves in 24 years. So we'd be here for a while if I took you through all of those. But yeah, the story of my business and Awaken and where I am today and what happened really started in 2009 when I came out of corporate. So I had a 30-year corporate career, which I really enjoyed. It was great. But then literally ended up with burnout. So in June 2009, I got diagnosed with depression, clinical depression, severe anxiety, had to come out of work, got into a pretty desperate state really, went into debt, lost my job, everything went a bit belly up, as they say. I hit the buffers big time. And then I just had to take a year out. My health basically meant that I had to take a year out, to which obviously everything else then imploded on top of it. I lost everything, lost my relationship, my health, my job, just everything due to my health. So then I decided in 2010 what I was going to do was to renovate the property I lived in because it had dry rot. So that's why I had to move out. I went and got some help, but basically did quite a lot of the renovations myself and got it ready to sell because I couldn't afford to keep it because I had an £800 mortgage. So that was pretty high when you haven't got any money coming in. So decided I needed to sell it. So renovated it to do that, but then thought, you know what, I never want to work for an employer ever again. I can't be employed ever again.
I think that's becoming more and more common. I mean, you talked about burnout there. I mean, I've experienced that myself as well. I'm sure lots of other people have. Do you think that's becoming more common, or I don't know? I'm finding a lot of people leaving the corporate world for those very reasons. So.
I think certainly now it's more common than it was. I mean, 10 years ago when it happened to me, or 11 years now, it was almost like a bit embarrassing to say it had happened. Do you know what I mean? So you didn't really talk about it. I didn't really tell anyone. I didn't really say anything. Whereas now a lot more people are coming out and talking about it.
Yeah.
So whether or not it is more prevalent today, or is it more people are talking about it and are willing to talk about it today than they used to?
Yeah, you're probably right. I think it's a combination of the two. I think life generally, is possibly at a faster pace than it's ever been. I think as a result of that, then people do burn out. But I think there is hopefully a willingness to talk about these things where it hasn't been previously.
That's right. I think, certainly I started working with Time to Change Wales, which is a mental health organisation, which, I joined as a champion in 2012. And people are more open to talking, more open to listening now, than what they ever were. And it was that kind of, I was embarrassed about it. I was kind of, hid it for quite a while and didn't really say a lot. People asked me why I'd left my job. I used to just say, I don't know, I just wasn't well and I just left. Whereas now I'm very open about it, and I'm quite open about why it happened and what happened and then how it led to the debt and everything else that went on around it. Because where I am today, if I can help anybody through what I went through, then that's my major thing, it's just making sure people are aware of that.
Do you think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't speak about it, because of feeling of shame or whatever that might be?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's still quite a bit of, embarrassment about it. Maybe not. Obviously, we're in this current situation with the pandemic, and so that makes it a little bit more different. But even now, I work with people, and I'm finding people are actually still. They're like a bit wary of coming out and saying, "Do you know what? This pandemic has made me quite anxious. Like, I don't really want to go out, or I don't really understand, how that's making me feel." So there are still people out there who are quite fearful of talking about their mental health. And unfortunately, I think there's going to be more people now due to the pandemic that are going to need help. So getting people to talk will be a big thing, I think.
I totally agree. I think when we've gone through this period, I think I tend to see it in thirds, where some people have just carried on more or less as normal, with some adjustments, obviously.
Yeah.
Others then are, shall we say, just getting by, and others are really struggling, and that's whether that's financially or whether it's mentally. But there's definitely the people I speak to. That's what I'm finding is a split into three. Depends what camp that you're in. You could be having, if you're in obviously the stressful camp, the worrying camp, then life can be pretty daunting at the moment. So
it can be, and I mean, on top of everything that I had going on for me, was you had the money worries, you had the job worries, you had, so a lot of things that were similar now were similar to me, but obviously they're a lot more personal back then, because the whole world wasn't going through it back then, whereas I was. So yeah, it was quite a big kind of thing, but I think hopefully there are more avenues for people to talk about it, obviously with celebrities coming out, sports people coming out, royalty coming out. There's a lot more openness about it, so people aren't feeling so afraid and that they're on their own. And especially now with people coming out of jobs and everything, my kind of message is, look, it's okay, change happens. I came out of my job as like, I'm never going to work for anybody again, and started my business. I've never looked back. Now, that's not to say that over those 10 years I've been running the business, I don't have stress times, because I did, and I do, everybody does. That's life, isn't it? And there have been days when I've thought, do you know what, I'm just going to give it all up and go and work in a supermarket on a till, because it would have been easier way, in my mind, an easier way to earn money. But I know it wouldn't have been easier, because I wouldn't have had the freedom that I have today, and I wouldn't have been able to make the choices that I make today. Does that make sense? So being self-employed for me has been huge in that way, and it gives you those options. So I think there's light for anybody who's been made redundant, or anybody that's got things going on right now, to maybe look at diversifying and seeing what they can do with their skills.
I think this period has given people the opportunity to reflect on their lives, full stop, and that's both in terms of their career, their personal lives, their home lives, and where they want to go from here. Because one thing is for sure is that if to change, you need to do something about it, and it can be a scary place when you have to make big decisions. At this moment, things are being forced on people to make decisions. However, I think if you can grasp this opportunity to think really seriously about where you are, what you want out of life, it really is a good starting point for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean, there's a great quote by Mark Twain. I'm sure you've heard this one. It says, the two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why.
Yeah.
And I think maybe a lot of people will start to realize or find out their why at this time. That's what certainly happened to me. My why was very much around, I'm on a mission to help everybody as much as I can get through whatever they're going through at any given time, whether that's starting a business or anxieties about going out or whatever. That was what I wanted to do, and that's why I started the business, really.
So tell me more about Awaken, because although we've spoken before, I know this has evolved quite a lot recently as well. So can you tell us a little bit more about Awaken? Because there's more than one component part to it, if I understand.
Yeah, there is. When I first started, I started out as life coaching, and people used to say to me, why aren't you just Beverley Jones life coaching? And I said, because Awaken is an umbrella. So it sits as an umbrella over various elements. And I was pleased I've done that now, because it's changed a lot. I don't like to call it life coaching. What I do really is not for the one-to-ones.
That's quite a wide.
It's very wide,
isn't it?
and people, if they see you as a life coach, it's like, oh, can you help me change my life? Well, no, you have to do that yourself.
Yeah.
It's about you doing that. But after I started doing life coaching for a while, I realized that actually my first love was business. I'd been in business for 30 years. You don't do something for 30 years and not love it,
Certainly not.
I love the business world. I love helping small businesses, large businesses, So I started to diversify really because I started doing business mentoring with Business Wales, and found that I was helping more and more small businesses. So I was volunteering for them. And in 2017, I won the Business Mentor of the World, the Business Wales Excellence in Mentoring Award.
Well done. I didn't know that. So I've
Didn't
learned
you?
something
Yeah.
today already. Like, so.
So there you go. So that's why I then started the Awaken Business Club on the back of that, because I thought I need to do something with this. I need to help more people. So I started the Awaken Business Club in 2017, and that's been running for 3 years, but now that's evolving again into a membership group, so I can then expand that worldwide if it's needed, or wherever it is, where people can then join on a monthly basis, and we can have Zoom calls, because that's the one thing I've learned about lockdown. Before, I mean, I didn't like Skype. I was like, oh, I don't want to do Skype. But Zoom is amazing. I love Zoom, you know, I'm on Zoom's loads. So I've decided that, yeah, you know, I could actually be helping more people on a much wider scale. So that's why I've really changed it now. It's going to be changed into a membership group. But on the other side of the business, then you've got the corporate stuff that I do, which is the company well-being. And that's helping people through anxieties, helping people through emotional resilience, helping people maybe through change, helping people be good to themselves through mindset. It's helped that it kind of helped absenteeism in work and stop the presenteeism and all of that. So that's another side of it. And then the third kind of side is events. I run events, so which obviously have all been cancelled this year, so I don't run them this year. But I run mind, body, spirit events, workshops, that sort of thing. So when people are out and about and are allowed out and about, I generally run ticketed events and things like that, or exhibitions where people can come. And when I'm not doing that, because that's kind of the Awaken bit, if you like. That's the umbrella that everything sits under. On a personal side, I am then Beverley Jones, the author, and Beverley Jones, the speaker. And I always wanted that, because if ever I decide to, maybe if somebody wants to offer me a couple of million out there for my business, then that's fine, they can take it, have it, do whatever with it. Although I am the face of the business, it's a bit difficult to have to pay me. But yeah, there are things there that if I wanted to close that side of it, I can always be the speaker and the author. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, because I think it's,
you know, semi-retirement wouldn't necessarily need to crack right in for me, because I can still write. It's not a problem. I can write till the day I pass off this mortal coil, whatever. And I can still go out and speak to whatever age I feel I want to. You know, even if I got to semi-retirement in my 60s, I could still go and do some speaking and everything, and the rest would just be running automatically in the background, as you know.
but I think that's one of the beauties of having a multifaceted business. So you can go down any different avenue depending on what events or cycles that we go in through. I think that the way that you've set up your various businesses under that umbrella, then I think you've got the variety, which is great, because there's nothing like variety to sort of change things up. So you've got that, but you've got each one of those different elements can stand alone in their own right.
Yeah, and they help people in different ways. Do you know what I mean? So in some ways, I'm helping people, if you like, with small businesses. Then I'm helping people in the corporate industries, and then I'm helping people through exhibiting, you know, exhibitions. So you're either a customer at those, or you're somebody that comes along and, you know, has a stand at the show, and I help connect you with people. So it's really what I've always wanted to do, was help everyone. And when I started, people were like, oh, you can't do that. You have to have one niche. And I was like, really? And then I went to a couple of conferences, and somebody said, you can have as many niches as you like, as long as you direct the right message to the right niche. There is no point in me talking small business ownership to somebody who works in accounts in a big corporate, unless they want to go out on their own. So, you know, it's just different messages, different texts, different ways of writing, different ways of, you know, but the one theme that runs through everything, whether I'm an author, a speaker, well-being coach, business mentor, event organizer, is mental health and anxieties. That's the key. So I help people. That's my thing. That's my tag. That's what I do, you know. So wherever you are on that spectrum, I've been in corporate. I've run a small business for 10 years. I've written books. I speak. I run events. So wherever you are, I can help you with your mental health around that situation. So that's what I do, really.
I think you've already mentioned it, but with regards to lockdown, we've all now much more adept at using conferencing via video.
Oh God,
I
yeah.
think that, whether we did it before, I mean, luckily for me, it wasn't such a big step because I was using it anyway, but nothing to the extent I'm doing it now.
No.
But apart from probably your physical events, you can do an awful lot, if not most of your other elements via this medium.
Yeah, I can. I mean, the Awaken Business Club, like I said, has been running now since 2017. And we meet once a month. I've got some members already, and we meet once a month. It's like a little networking event where I support them and they support each other, as well. And that's been going on for 3 years. But because I've learned how to use Zoom and I've learned what I can do with Zoom, and I don't mind doing Zoom now, and I'm okay on camera and all that sort of stuff, I now know that I can get people into that group for a membership, but I can hold 2 or 3 meetings or whatever it is a month with people on Zoom. So it doesn't matter if you're in Ireland or America or Scotland or wherever you are, you can be part of that Zoom call. And I didn't realize, that really was something I could do before. So I didn't even think before lockdown of turning it into that sort of group. But now I have. It's launching in October, so it's going to be great, really.
I think that's the great thing about, again, using this medium is that you now truly have an international business.
Yeah.
And so there's no barriers from that point of view. Provided your business works in all different countries and territories, then your audience can be wherever it is, and it can grow massively and very quickly as a result of that.
Yeah, I mean, even speaking at conferences, do you know what I mean? It's not necessary to fly to the States to do that anymore. You can, I mean, we used to see, didn't we, like award ceremonies and stuff where celebrities would come Zoom in by link, but I think that's going to be more and more. I think, that's going to happen for large conferences now and people around the world, that if you're holding something, you don't have to fly if you don't really necessarily need to.
I think it's going to change. Yeah, I think business will change as a result of that because you don't need to be in the same room.
No.
Whether it's board meetings, whether it's client meetings, you can do this just as effectively via this medium as we are doing this today.
Yeah, exactly. And you can get to work from home as well. So, at the end of the day, when this finishes, I can go, if I want to, I won't because I've got other meetings, but go sit in the garden and have your lunch or, whatever else, can't you? You don't necessarily, you're not tied to going to the office to do stuff. So, yeah, I think makes a huge difference. It has made a huge difference. And is that, I don't think that's a bad thing either. I mean, Mike, my other half anyway, he's out in farming and he's always been doing that. And so for him, he's like, the world was going too fast. It needed to slow down anyway, and I've said this for years, something will happen. And he did, to be fair. However, he can't tell me when it's all going to end, which is a bit of, he was so philosophical. You knew it was going to happen. When's it going to stop? But, it's true. It was going too fast. Everything was faster, quicker.
Yeah.
And I just got to a point where I just think, no, it's got to stop, really. So
it feels as if the world has been on a dial, has been reset, and I think, as you say, that is not a bad thing compared to where we were before.
No, I think we all need to take the opportunity and realize that as well, Tony. I think, we all have to say, right, we've been given this opportunity. And for me, it's like, don't waste it. Don't go back to what you were doing before. Don't go back to where you were, but don't have regrets either. Don't look at it and go in a year's time, I wish I had, I wish I'd learned to bake, or I wish I'd changed this, or, I wish I'd taken that time to develop my business in a different way, or, do it now. This is the time to do it,
I think, and we talked about this a little earlier, but for me, it's been, whilst it's been, because the nature of what I do, which is to do with obviously money in essence, then the first part of it was quite stressful, certainly the first 4 weeks, because the markets were, just plummeted.
Yeah.
And obviously I feel responsible for clients' money and their investments. And as a result of that, it's very difficult not to take this if you like, that responsibility personally, in terms of if people's money goes down, it really hurts me because I feel responsible.
Yeah.
But when that sort of petered over and things started to stabilize, excuse me, then I think it provided then a window of opportunity to see, look, the world is probably going to change, and it's going to change for at least, several months, if not longer. And I think it's given me certainly an opportunity to think, where am I now? Where do I want to be? What is my ideal life?
Yeah.
And I think that I've used that opportunity to carry out some projects I've been trying to do, but haven't had the time.
Yeah.
So they are all underway. It's made me think about, family life and what's important from that point of view, because I work too much. I'm a workaholic, so I work far too much. So I don't know if I'll ever not be one, but it's got to be, I've got to have gaps, if like, where I reward myself and obviously spend more time with my wife and obviously the children.
Yeah.
So that's changed as well. And I'm conscious of that. I've always been conscious of it, but it's head down and keep ahead, if you like. And it's difficult to get off that when things are going well.
It is hard, for me, I had that lesson 10 years ago. So I'm kind of 10 years ahead of a lot of people. In that, people will say to me, oh, we're doing this call, or we're doing that call, and it's at 8 o'clock. And I'm like, oh, I don't do evenings. I will do it, but for me, I prefer, I finish work around 6, sometimes 7. I've got a meeting tonight, 5 till 7.
Yeah.
But where I can, I try to have my evenings with Mike or with the children when they're here, that sort of thing. And the same with weekends. If I run an event, obviously I've got to be there on the weekend. That's not a problem. I'm there, and usually the week before I work evenings to get that together. But the majority of the time, I would say 85% of the time, I work on a 9 till 6, Monday to Friday. And I'm hoping that with lockdown now, it's proved to me I can do that in 4 days. So looking to do Monday to Thursday,
No, I agree. I think I've seen the same as that. I think for me, once I've got a few of these projects underway, I've got less input in them, so they're more or less taking over, then I can see myself being able to work quite a lot less hours, if I'm honest, especially if I'm outsourcing, which is another thing I want to do a lot more of. Certainly things, because obviously for me, it's I have to give the advice when I'm speaking to clients. There's a lot of things in the background I don't need to do personally.
Social media, stuff like that,
As I do quite a lot of that. So.
I know, you're very good at it. I've got somebody that helps me with my social media. I'm just about to employ another company to do some marketing, because marketing's, even though I used to work in a marketing department, I'm great at marketing other people. It's just, I think sometimes it's more difficult to market ourselves, isn't it? To go out there and say, buy me, buy me, buy my services, it's quite hard. So I'm kind of handing the reins over to say to somebody else, you go sell me, you go do the marketing side, because it's not something that, I'm like you, I do the people side. I miss the social interaction. That's the one thing lockdown has done. I miss the social interaction, the meeting up, the networking, the events, the exhibitions, the conferences. Do you know what I mean? I do miss that.
Yeah.
But hopefully next year they'll all be back and bigger and better than they were this year.
Oh, I think they will. I think they will change. I think a lot of people still will be hesitant to go to these events, but I've actually went to one last week, and it was done in such a responsible way.
Right.
Real distance, social distancing, all the safety measures. So there wasn't a big group, because obviously they couldn't hold the numbers.
How many were in the group?
There was about 20 of us.
Okay. Was it networking?
It was a workshop.
Right. Okay.
So it was 2 to a desk, but the desk was something like, I don't know, there was at least 4 feet between each of the sort of attendees, and there was gaps in between as well. So it was done sensibly, if you like. So they can be done, but they do take some organising, I think. So it
That's
depends.
it. I've got my shows. People are asking me, are they going ahead? You know, I don't know whether to just knock it this year and say no, and then just start next year. You know, I've got my launch now, my membership stuff and everything. So I really don't think that running events, I'd rather get that up and running and start to really action that and help people through the business club. And then next year I can take that, that'll be automatically running.
Yeah.
I can then take some time to spend, you know, running the events again and stuff. So
yeah, no, I think you're probably right. I mean, I attend because I'm on the local personal finance society committee.
right, okay.
So we run events locally, and the numbers that attend those are usually in excess of 200 people.
Wow.
So we've decided as a professional body to halt those until at least next year,
Yeah.
and see what guidance we get from the government. Again, like a lot of people, a lot of those sessions that we were holding, a lot of it is continuous professional development sessions.
Right,
They are
okay.
now done online. So it's just another example. In
Yeah,
theory,
exactly.
they can be done online and you don't need to attend face to face. However,
Yeah.
the part which is missing, which is that networking with your peers.
Yeah, of course.
And that's, you know, that's a very enjoyable part of it. And you do learn things, you know, in between the sessions, lunchtime, you know, beforehand, etc.
Exactly, yeah, lunch,
Where you wouldn't
evenings, that sort of
medium.
thing.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping they'll be back next year because I do enjoy that sort of side of what I do. Do you know what I mean? I'm a people's person, so you know, I've basically spent lockdown looking after people and doing their shopping because it felt that at least I could do that and have some interactions. I had about 10 households on the go at one point. So,
yeah.
but yeah, no, it was all right. If it goes back in second one, I'll do it again. Do you know what I mean? It's not a problem.
Well, because you are the business is nice and compact, if you like, you can go down any direction that you want to.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was kind of something people used to say to me many years ago, you know, what's your strategy? And I'd be like, oh, I hate that word, strategy, corporate world, because I hate anything to do with the corporate world when I started. So it's like, no, I don't have a strategy, I just do it. And it's quite bizarre because that just doing it has turned out to be quite strategic. Do you know what I mean? So I probably didn't want to put a word on it, but it was probably quite.
I think when you've had the discipline of working in the corporate world, then whether we like it or not, then you've got that.
Yeah, you've got that.
Whatever
that
word
mindset.
you want to use for it, whether it's strategy, whether it's planning, you've got that embedded in you, and it's difficult not to have that because we need a structure, we need a path to follow.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you there.
So, I mean, on that sort of topic, I don't know how you've envisaged your business going forward, but where do you hope to be in 5 years' time?
In 5 years' time, I hope to have kind of built the membership for the Awaken Business Club up. So it's getting I take in 2 intakes a year. So October's the first one, and then March, and then every year it'll be September and March. So I would hope that in 5 years' time, I've helped, like this time now, 100, so 200, about 1,000 people. So I hope within at least 5 years, I've had at least 5,000 members through that group so that I can then have helped them. For me, it's not about, I'm going to say it's not about the money. Of course it's about the money. We all need to earn money, right? But for me, it's about how many people I help for that money. Yeah, like I know how much a membership is worth per month and per year, but it's not about that. You know, it's not about saying to you, right, in 5 years' time from the Awaken Business Club, I'll have earned 30,000, a million, whatever. It's how many people have I helped? You know, if I can help more than that, more than 100 a month, then brilliant. So that's my one thing, is to really grow that and help as many people as I can. The company wellbeing, I want to be working with more and more corporates and doing more speaker slots around that. So that will involve, you know, kind of either doing them by Zoom or actually getting out and about when things go back to normal, and helping people not go where I went. You know, I'm really fortunate through Time to Change Wales and through my own speaking career. I lost count how many people in audiences I've spoken to and told my burnout story to that have said to me, you know, because of you, I went to the doctors. Because of you, I sought help. Because of you, I slowed down. Because of you, I reevaluated my life. I've lost count of that. And so I just want to continue with that same work, really helping people as much as I can in those bigger companies. And then, yeah, so the business wise, really, it's just more the same, but growing it. you know, bit kind of, if you like, I want to do a bit more in PR. I'm writing now for the local paper. I'd like to be more national. I'd like to maybe have a column in a national magazine or newspaper around wellness. That's a big dream, really.
I've seen some of the posts that you've made where you've been on local radio, and I'm not sure if you've been on TV stations as well, but you've certainly been on local radio. So
Look, I've done radio.
You are getting invited onto these things now. So
yeah, I do. I mean, I've been doing the newspaper reviews on Radio Wales for about 5 years. Obviously, they've stopped now due to this, but I was doing them up until they stopped. So I'll probably re-engage in that. And as a result of that, would get called in if they had debates or conversations. I did have my own radio show at one point for a community radio. I'd like to rethink and redo that, because the more time I have, the more, you know, that's voluntary. So I'd like to kind of maybe get a radio show back up and running again. Certainly like to be the kind of go-to expert, which I am locally. People, you know, the local papers will give me a call if they're doing something around mental health or anxiety or growing or starting businesses. They will come to me, you know, they ring me up and say, oh, can you comment on this, or can you write us an article on that? So I do that, but I want it to be a more national thing, really. And that's not about getting known. That's not about, you know, it's about, I think the more I'm out there, the more people I can help. That's my big thing.
I feel exactly the same way. Obviously, we help people in different ways, but I think if you try to help as many people as you can, then by the very nature of doing that, then you're also helping yourself.
Yeah.
Because one, you have a purpose. You love what you do. So it's, to some extent, it's feeding you to do more and more and more.
Yeah.
I think you shared on one of your Facebook posts, was it Friday or this? I think it was Friday, but what have you achieved this week?
Yeah.
And I think I give my example where, you know, I've helped somebody to retire. And for me, that feeling when somebody has that big, massive smile on their face where they realize they can afford to retire and live, obviously, a good life is really rewarding. So you know, that keeps me going. So
yeah, and then that feeds you to want the next one, doesn't it?
Yeah,
and the next person, you know, and that's when people come to me and say about being part of the club, you know, the business club, even the free Facebook group, as you know, you're part of my free Facebook group. You know, I get comments from that saying, oh, it's a really nice group and it's friendly, and people, and I've connected loads of people through that. Yesterday in the office, somebody sent me through, I don't know if you saw my video yesterday, I did a live around kindness.
No, I did see it yesterday.
Yeah, this lady, I literally, through that group, connected people. Somebody wanted to know about Instagram. I connected her with an Instagram expert, somebody that I know does courses and is brilliant on Instagram. They've connected. They started working together. So yesterday, this lady sent me this amazing box of chocolates and notebook and just a thank you card. It was lovely, you know.
Yeah, I'm sure that made you a day. So
it did, yeah. I was like, oh, how lovely is that? Because I don't do it for expectation, you know. I never expect any of that. But it was such a lovely gift and just a lovely thought, really. And that's what I like to do. I just love to connect people, love to share things, love to help in whatever way I can. So, yeah, I
think it's the best approach. I think, you know, we have an opportunity to, in both our different professions, to help an awful lot of people. And I think that if you're doing it for the right reasons, this is not about money. But as you say, money is obviously important because we all need to live. But I think if you're doing this for the right reasons to help as many people as you can, then life can be very, very good. So.
Yeah, and it's more rewarding, isn't it? You know, I think that the more people you can help, the more people you get to help, sort of thing, because word spreads, and you know, and then people ring or get in touch or whatever. So for me, it is just about that little thread of running through and helping people in however I can, and whether that's connecting people or just chatting to them or making them feel better or giving them an idea. Or you know, people actually say to me, you know, oh, Bev, are you around? And I say, yeah, 5-10 minutes, you okay? And they're like, no, I need a Bev moment. Okay, you can have a Bev moment if you like. And you know, it might be just a 10-minute chat. But they're like, oh, I feel so much clearer. I knew I would. I just knew that, you know, you would put it in perspective, or just, and sometimes I don't even know what I've said. It's just one of those little things. And then people who come, I mean, I've got some clients, it's my 10-year business anniversary last weekend, and I had this lovely, amazing bouquet of sunflowers, because that's my logo, from one of my clients, and she's been with me since the start. She came to one of my first workshops, and she's still a client today. She's still a member of stuff today. So, you know, I think, and I'm proud of that. I'm really proud that she feels she wants to stay, and we get the support. And they have a thing called Bev's notebook. So they kind of come in armed with their notebook, and it's every note that you know, people have come to workshops years after years after year. They come in, or they have another session or something, coaching session. They just come with their notebook, and they're like, look, Bev's notebook. So
you'll have to create a line now of whether it's a notebook, whether it's a diary. So you have to.
Yeah, I will actually call it Bev's notebook.
Yeah. Have you, I mean, obviously, you're both quite active, should we say, on social media. So one of the things that I'm starting is, obviously this is part of it today, is podcasting. So have you thought about doing that?
I have thought about doing it. For those that know me, and you know me, like, technology and I are just not compatible, really.
Right,
you know,
okay.
I don't understand it. I do try. But I would struggle with all the technical side of it. However, there are people that will help me. You know, there are people out there that say, oh, you know, well, I'd help you set it up and everything. And I have thought about it. I have these ideas. I mean, I have this, because I do quite a lot of stuff with Newport City Radio.
Yeah.
So we're in talks, actually, because just over the pandemic, I've been doing, I did a course of 6 podcasts with them, just 2-minute slots to go on their kind of show. And we're in talks to be doing a series, and the series was supposed to be called Living With. So it would be living with dementia, living with mental health, living with an addiction, living with multiple sclerosis, living with whatever. Yeah. And people would come in, and I would interview them, and we would talk about what it's like to live with whatever it is. Well, then that Ross Kemp off the telly went and did a series on telly called Living With. I was furious. I was like, that's my title. You pinched it.
Copyright.
It was. I should have copyrighted it. But yeah, so that's kind of been done now. But it was done by Ross Kemp, so I'm sure mine wouldn't be quite as high profile as that. But that was an idea that I had. So yeah, I think podcasting in the future is certainly something that I will do. My second book is in the well, I say my second book. I've probably written about, I don't know, 5 ebooks, 6 ebooks, of which people now are going, Bev, are you ever going to sell these? What are you going to do with them? So they are going up for sale. I've just been handing them out and giving them out and stuff, and people are like, this is crazy, because I've got, I mean, they basically are the 7 signs you're not coping, 7 tips to avoid burnout, financial well-being, and it's linked to mental health, bullying, and it's linked to mental health. I'm just in the process of writing one called Stop the Stress and Grow Your Business. So that's the big one that's going out now soon. Obviously, my title, Made It Through the Rain, was published in 2012. So I want to do another published book, if that makes sense. So they're all ebooks. I want to do another published book, which will basically catalogue, or chronicle, I should say, probably chronicle the word, my last 10 years of what happened from that point on, and how I've grown, and how I've grown the business, and the lessons I've learned along the way. You know, how I got myself out of debt, how I discovered, you know, my mindset was everything. I don't know, whatever. So
you'll have to send me the links, because I'll put those links in the show notes. So
right, okay, yeah, going up on Jamie's website. So as soon as they're up, I will send you the links, and you've got them then as well. So, and I'll send you the link for the membership stuff as well, in case people.
Yeah, good. We'll put them all in the show notes. So because the podcast in theory is about money, but it's not just about money. A couple of questions which I like to ask my guests. So the first one is, what was your worst financial decision?
Well, probably we go back a way, way, way long time ago. And my worst financial decision was, I moved to London when I was 23. I was supposed to go and live with my cousin, but it never turned out. She decided she didn't want to share a flat. So I sat in a cafe, having got off the train, knowing that I was going to start a job on a Monday. Now, bear in mind back then, I was on a salary in Wales of £5,000. So we're talking 1986.
Yeah.
Yeah. So give my age away there, but I don't actually care about my age. But in 1986, I was on £5,000 in Newport. My salary went up overnight when I moved to a job in London to £12,000.
Okay, massive.
Now, that's quite a lot of money. Even
Yeah.
today, I know people are on £12,000, and I'm like, God, really? And I didn't appreciate it. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand money, and I didn't appreciate it. So at that point, I was thinking, I've got to get a flat. I've got to get somewhere to live. And I went to view. I was looking at the Standard, and there was flats in there for sale. And I thought, oh, maybe I could buy a flat, in my little wisdom that I thought at the time. And I went to visit a flat that was for sale in Sussex Gardens in Paddington for £19,000.
Okay.
Today, I don't know, it's at least probably 2 million.
Yeah, certainly in excess of $1 million.
Yeah, certainly in excess of $1 million. And I could have got it for 19,000, and my salary was 12,000. So I'm sure I would have got a mortgage. And I didn't do it. And that is my one big thing. And that's not because today I think, oh my God, I'd be a millionaire. I probably would have spent the million, or in my case, given it away, Tony, to be totally honest, because I'm a great giver. So it probably would have been given away. But, you know, it is those little things that you think, I should have done that. I got made redundant in 1995, somewhere around there. And I had a £6,000 redundancy package. And somebody said to me, oh, you should buy some shares in Next. I was like, yeah, because I used to buy all my clothes from Next, still do a little bit, but I should have bought shares in Next. And I didn't. And I wish I'd taken £1,000 and put it into Next shares, because at that point there was something like a penny. I think today there's something like £4 something. So yeah, when my accountant worked that out, I was like, don't even tell me, because I don't want to know. So yeah, I made a few. Hindsight's
a
great.
wonderful thing. So
it is absolutely.
I think Tesla shares would be a good example in today's terms. So.
Yeah, well, and Amazon, and really
Amazon, yeah, all the ones, yeah, Facebook, all of them. So.
But my cousin, get this, my cousin works for Amazon in the States. He's the head of marketing for like blinking whatever that Alexa thing. I said, why didn't you tell me before the pandemic what was going to happen?
Insider trading, you can't do that.
I know, that's what they said. They couldn't have told you anyway. I was like, oh, could have hinted.
All right. Well, you've told me about your worst one. So what's the, rather than decision, what's the best advice that you've had in terms of money?
Well, a couple of years ago, as I was starting to pull myself back round, because like I said, I went into debt and all that sort of stuff when I came out of my corporate job. And I got really scared of money.
Yeah.
You know, I was fearful of money. I was scared of money. And if one sense of purpose, I hated money. I was like, I hate you. You're never here when I need you. I haven't got any money. And I really fought with that for a long, long time. And then I joined a local membership group, and it's where I met you.
Yes.
I remember sitting at, do you know, I remember when we met, I don't know whether you remember this, but we sat on the same table at this conference thing, was it a seminar?
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten my glasses. Can you remember?
I do, yes. You sitting actually by the side of me, yeah.
And I forgot my glasses. So I spent the whole day, like Posh Spice, wearing my sunglasses, because they were prescription sunglasses. And I had to wear them inside to see the presentation on the screen. I was like, oh, it's just a nightmare. And so that was the first time I met you. But I remember saying to you then, oh, I might need your help in a couple of years, because I had pensions and things coming out. And I think possibly over the years, the best thing I ever did, and this was my father's advice, always get your company pension and keep your company pension. And I had an excellent Kodak company pension when I worked for them, and I've got a railway pension which is due out, as you know, in a couple of years. So when that was all kind of coming to fruition, obviously I sat down with yourself and we had a good chat about that, and you gave me the most amazing advice, and I'm grateful for that. You know, I'm still grateful today, because it meant that I could take my pension out and I could take some of that money, you know, a lump sum of it, because I got to a certain age, at 55, I think, and I could take a lump sum of it and then manage to clear the remaining debts. I didn't have a lot of debts, really, not compared to a lot of people, but I did manage to clear them. And then on the back of that, I was advised, you know, I was one of these people, I'm never having another credit card, I'm never doing this, I'm never doing that. But, you know, on your advice and being part of the group, I was advised that, you know, get a credit card.
Build up your credit.
Yeah, and start to build it and start to understand how credit can work for you, not the other way around. You know, don't go over the board with it. Don't spend, but spend enough, pay it off. Spend enough, pay it off. And I tell you what, my my credit rating has completely changed in a matter of 2 to 3 years. It was gone from like really poor, really bad. And once I started getting the cards and doing that method, it just really kind of kicked it off. And now I've got an excellent credit record, which is all due to meeting you and being part of something that really helped advise me and pointed me in the right direction.
So what is your relationship with money like these days?
Now money's my best friend. I love money. And I say to people, you know, when you think about money, if you can think of money as your best friend, which is what I do now. If you were telling your best friend that you hated them and they were never there for you and everything was a nightmare and they were causing you grief, do you think that best friend would stay around?
Yeah.
Of course they wouldn't. So why would money stay around if you were treating it like that? If you treat it with love and you say, you know, I love money and it's really helpful and it helps me pay my bills and I've always got enough and I'm grateful for every penny that comes in and I save, you know, but I spend as well, and really build a relationship with money. Money will work for you in ways that you've never contemplated before. It's just amazing how it all turns around. So now money is my best friend.
Good. I think that's my experience when I'm dealing with a lot of people is that some people are afraid of money, and as a result of that, bury their heads.
Yeah.
But I think with some simple steps, maybe a bit of guidance from somebody like myself or other people, then a bit of education as well, and you can transform totally the relationship that you have, and it can actually change your life. And obviously,
it does. I mean, it's changed my life. Totally. Now I can go and get tires on my car without thinking, oh my God, that's £100. Where am I going to get that £100 from? You know, I'm not scared to go to the garage to get my car fixed, for instance, now, or, you know, if I want whatever. I'm not saying I can buy everything I want because I'm going to get my Mercedes soon, but you know, there is that ability to not worry. You know, if I go into a shop, I'm not kind of always having to buy the kind of bargain food. You know what I mean? That sort of thing, or buying the cheapest thing on the menu. And that's not to say I have a lot of money. It's not, but it's about being comfortable and having that ability to know that whatever you pay out, you will get back in. You know, it will come back in, and it will come in back in different ways. So that's the whole multiple streams of income, which we talked about.
I agree. I think it's not about having huge amounts of money. You don't need huge amounts of money. You need enough money to have a good life, enjoy the things that you do, be able to pay the bills, etc. So it's it's really depends what your expectations are. But
it's being financially secure, isn't it? And having financial freedom to do what you want to do. You know, Mike and I are not big holiday people. You know, we'd rather just go down to Bournemouth or Brighton and, you know, find a little kind of place to stay. And you know, I'm not about going to Mauritius every year, or I've got to go off on that big holiday, or, you know, it's never been part of what I am or what he is. And so, you know, we're really lucky, I guess, in that way, not to crave that.
I think your sort of expectations or what you want out of life does change as we get older anyway. So I think simple things become more important. But I've got one last question for you, which is my favorite question.
Okay.
So again, because obviously my branding is TTUL, so my question for you is, what does wealth mean to you?
Wealth for me is the happiness and the health of everyone that I'm close to. You know, yes, money is part of that wealth. But for me, it's about my family, my friends. I'm so rich. I say to people, I am a multimillionaire when it comes to my life. Really, honestly, I am. I've got the most amazing family, the most amazing friends. I'm so fortunate that, you know, I've got good health. My family have got good health. We're able to do the things we want to do. We're very close as a family, and I count myself very lucky and very rich in that. I'm able to run my business. Do you know what I mean? So there's loads of things that I feel content and very rich as a result, really. Money is a bonus in my life. It doesn't make me rich. It's a bonus that comes with what I do. But yeah, wealth to me is much more around good health and having the ability to be there and have others around me that that's safe, that's security, all of those things. So
I think that's a few people this now, and again, for me, it's very similar. It's that balance. You need to have it in all aspects of your life. Money is
absolutely.
one of them. It's the happiness. It's relationships.
Hmm.
It's whatever makes you happy at the end of the
Yeah,
day. So,
yeah.
Bev, so if again we just coming to an end now. So if people want to find you,
Yeah.
how do they find you?
You can find me on all social media platforms, either as Beverley Jones, by my name, so like LinkedIn and places like that, or as the Awaken Business Club on Facebook, and then Awaken Coach on kind of Instagram, Twitter, those sorts of things. So I'm either Awaken Coach or Beverley Jones. You'll find me somewhere. And then I've got the websites as well. So you can either get me on www.awakencoaching.co.uk, or there is a beverleyjones.co.uk site as well, which is my speaker and author site. So you can find me through any of those things, really. Just put in Beverley Jones author or whatever. I'm sure I'll come up. And I don't, because there is another Beverley Jones in Wales that's an author.
Is there? All right. Oh, I didn't know that. So
Yeah,
I could
so
try that out later, just to
just to have a look. Yeah, she writes thrillers, I think. I'm not sure where she's West Wales. So yeah, if you just put Beverley Jones Awaken, that's usually what comes up.
All right.
So you'll find me some.
I'll put all these links in the show notes so people will be able to find those very easily.
Brilliant.
So,
Yeah,
Bev, I've really enjoyed today, and I've been
thank
fascinated
you.
about your story. I think it's given certainly me lots to think about, and hopefully the listeners as well. So, again, great
Thank you.
deal of thanks for you for joining me today, and thank you until next time.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me along. Been a pleasure. Been great to chat to you.
All right, take care. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.